How are you? This is Bibi Ahmed. Welcome to Radically Conservative, a show based on faith, family, and freedom. Tonight, we are going to jump into U.S. foreign policy, and we have a fantastic panel on with us tonight. We have Jimmy Livieri, our co-host and executive producer. Jimmy, hello.
How are you?
Welcome. And we have Dan Stern, another political commentator. Dan, welcome.
Evening, thank you.
And we have our wonderful Mr. Mike Vasquez, who has given us breadth and depth of knowledge. And Mike has some strong opinions tonight. Mike, welcome.
Well, it's good to be here with everyone. Hello, everyone at home. Happy to be with all of you, and good to meet you, Dan. I am looking forward to a lively conversation.
That's correct. Anybody else? Well, we think that we are going to have a lively conversation because the hot topic of today, and it's been like that for a while, is Davos. Our president has gone over to Davos to speak to other world leaders about the fact that, you know what, the United States might have to take some stand on the subject of Greenland. Greenland is important to our national security, as claimed by this Trump administration. It has multiple perspectives. We have military, we have minerals that are rare earth minerals that we need to control, and we have a strategic place there that we need to continue to build. I know that the panelists are going to have a lot of strong opinions on that topic. Nevertheless, the other topics for tonight are Venezuela. Just a few weeks ago, we had a radical shift in the government of Venezuela, of course, precipitated by the United States under Trump. And lastly, we're going to speak about Iran. That is a situation with uprisings, and the people need freedom. And we're going to talk about that tonight. Jimmy, what do you think about Greenland and our security over there?
I think it's very important that we have Greenland. You know, it's going to make sure China and Russia don't connect there. We'll have to break that up. And it's a very good thing. I'm very proud of Trump doing what he does, what we voted for him to do, and he's doing his wonderful stuff.
So Greenland provides a strategic place. It is part of NATO. It is allied, of course, a territory with Denmark. What do you think, Dan? What's our move in Greenland about?
I think that's the first part. What we have to do is figure out what is the actual purpose of why we would want to take Greenland. It belongs to a NATO country. We've had a base there. There's never been an issue about our forces being there. It's never been any threats to have them leave. So exactly why do we really need it at this point? What is the cost and what do we need it for?
Mr. Vasquez.
Well, I can answer that because it's not a hard question. It's actually something that's obvious and we already know. It's rare earth metals, which are absolutely the requirement that America needs for the next 30 years. Without that, we won't have, if you believe in green energy, well, that's your windmills, that's your solar plants. If you're thinking about electronic vehicles, well, that's going to be your batteries and the power for those batteries. If you want to talk about AI, that's rare earth metals. You want to talk about just about everything we need for the next 30 years to maintain the quality of life and the safety of America, well, that's rare earth metals. Now, why Greenland? Because they have 12%, at least 12% of the rare earth metals in the world that aren't controlled by China. And China's not our friend. They won't always give us the rare earth metals. They already tried to do that last year, and they tried to deny it, and therefore stifle our economy, our national security, and our future for us and our kids. So we need that. Why did we go to Greenland? Yeah, Denmark is part of NATO, and that's fantastic. And yes, we have a wonderful relationship with them, which is why we said, first and foremost, let's get a deal to buy the rights to the mining of those rare earth minerals. Denmark said, oh, it's Donald Trump. No, that doesn't work for America. That's not a good reason. And so we then said, well, all options are on the table. We used the leverage of all options, and today in Davos, we got the framework, which means we've got the deal. President Trump won for America, he won for America's future, and that helps to add stability to the future of the world. I think that's the answer there. Baby, what do you think?
Well, I agree, because we do have, as Dan said, we have an ally in Denmark for a long time. What I'm seeing is that there is a threat. We have, when the ice melts, you understand, and we know that the Chinese tankers and freighters will be there. That is to already assume their submarines are around. That's to already assume their nuclear submarines are around. We know for a fact that the Russian nuclear subs and their military installations are just next door in the northern Arctic Ocean there. They are next door. So the launching of any kind of missiles or the launching of any kind of missiles from a submarine is far easier. The directly over Greenland, that will be the space in which missiles and or any attack can be coming from to the United States. That is the shortest distance on a map. They're not going across the Atlantic. So I think the threats those two countries pose threats worldwide and our way of life.
Okay, let's back up. First of all, we have troops there. And through all this conversation, there's been no conversation about building up more troops or anything else that's there. Okay, and if the Russians are in the north, which I'm sure they are, I don't doubt that. Okay, so that's the way that is. The question that first of all, let's understand something. Okay, first sign of a superpower is its economic strength. The last part of a superpower is its military strength. Okay, that's just history. Okay, I think we can all agree. Can you agree with that?
If you want to use that as a definition, okay.
Okay, so
that's fine.
Okay, we are the most strongest country in the world economically, today, right now. We are also a capitalistic country.
Thank God.
Okay, well then, if we are a capitalistic country, we're going to go into Greenland. Whatever deals that need to be done will be done through private enterprise. It's not going to be done through government agencies.
Not
Do we agree?
No.
You think we're going to start mining as a U.S. government?
We can, and we can do that as
Have
a coalition.
we done that? Have we done it?
No.
Have we done what?
Gone in as a government agency and done mining or to grab natural resources as part of the government, or if we always use private enterprise to do so.
Actually, we have, as a government, gone and mined and tapped into resources in the United States and around the world. We have done that. And we are capable of doing that in Greenland. You're missing a couple of points here. First of all, we have 200 troops in Greenland at this time. Could we increase that? Well, we would have to talk to Denmark and Greenland about that to do that. That doesn't achieve the economic goals.
But that's never came in. That nobody's even asked that.
What do you mean? Yes, we did.
No, we did not.
The whole conversation,
No.
I beg to differ with you. I'm sorry if you're misinformed. The entire conversation about Greenland has always been, first and foremost, let's make the deal. And if that is not on the table, then other options become available to the United States. So the premise is incorrect.
What gives the United States the right to decide what's best in a foreign country?
Because international treaties have always been made since
We're not talking about treaties. We're not talking about treaties. We're talking about.
Sir.
No, it's not. He just said he's going to go in. No. That's if we were to build up and we would make a treaty. But you're talking about.
What the framework is saying, sir.
No, that's not what the framework. Because the framework is because the president has said, I have not taken this off the table.
Good.
Okay, until this morning. This morning, when he did his speech, he did say that's not on the table at this point. Okay, but
Because he had the deal.
we don't have a deal. There's no deal out
We
there.
have a framework for a deal. We do.
A framework for a deal. You know
Yes.
what? Here's the framework, okay? A contract, it's not a promise to a promise. That's not a framework.
That's a business to a business. We're talking nation to nation.
It's still
That
the
is not
same thing.
No, it's not.
Sure it is, because
Not
if
at
you
all.
take it, really, then
Really.
well, let's talk
So I
about the
wanna-
tariffs.
I'm gonna.
Okay, are you saying that all the deals? Wait a minute. So are you
BB
saying?
show.
Are
It's
you
BB show.
saying? I'm sorry.
Gentlemen, no,
BB show.
there is national, there's domestic, there's local contracts. But international, that will be in a treaty, sir. That has to be in a treaty. And we talked about it obviously being approved by the Senate of the United States. of
Correct, because
America.
all treaties
That's right,
have
and
to
that's
be
how it
approved.
has to be.
Correct. The question
Private
is,
companies, I believe, will be going in there for the infrastructure. You have to build the roads, you have to build before you even start mining.
Correct.
And so if you're saying that we do have troops already there, 200, is that going to even make sure 5 city blocks are great? However, what is the threat? Can we talk about the threat that we have from our nemesis? two countries that are antithetical to American values, freedom and liberty. We fought them with the Cold War, and now China is a rising threat, and we understand that economically and militarily, sir.
Definitely. I'm not arguing that with you, okay? I happen to agree with that.
Of course.
Okay? All right? What I am saying is that's not the way it went. Look, it's a matter of style.
I think you're right.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me finish. And the question is, what is the ultimate goal? And how do you achieve that goal?
Right.
Okay?
So with that,
And I would say that we probably would come at it completely different ways. Let me finish my thought.
Finish? Yes.
Okay, so I know you're interested.
I haven't said a word.
Okay.
All right, we gotta.
Just, I think we'll just wait for a moment, gentlemen, and we're going to get right back into the sauce.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Why does the United States want Greenland as a military asset? Well, this wasteland is sitting directly on the shortest missile path between the superpowers. Whoever holds Greenland controls the hemisphere. Russian and Chinese vessels are swarming the area as reported by the White House, with Russia activating Cold War-era bases. From nuclear-capable bombers testing the U.S. radar to Russian submarines preparing a kill switch on the undersea cables that power the global internet. The threat is silent, and it is real. But first, it has to go through Denmark 20,000 troops and the legendary dog sled patrol in comparison. The U.S. have 1.4 million active personnel and 13,000 aircraft. But the clock is ticking according to the White House. China is already mapping the Polar Silk Road to bypass the U.S. defenses. We have analyzed 5 steps and strategy on how the U.S. military will take over Greenland. In step 1, the U.S. activates the digital blindfold using EA-18G growlers and specialized satellites. In step 2 is the naval blockade from the Navy to keep Russia or China from interfering. It does this by blocking this gap against any enemy ships and submarines, all in the video ahead. Why is the United States suddenly obsessed with Greenland? Greenland is no longer just a frozen wasteland.
So we
It
were
is
at
the most
cusp of looking at who's delivering the message. I think that might be the problem here. Mike?
Let me address part of what you said. Sure. I think the biggest concern you have, and this is something we see a lot with individuals on the left, they didn't like the way Trump said it, the way Trump did it. That's a personal opinion, and that has nothing to do with international politics. We have had many presidents and many elected officials that are gruff and perhaps say things in a manner that not everyone will like. We must always evaluate any of our elected officials on, are they effective, are they efficient? And what we have seen with Greenland, as we have seen in Venezuela, as we have seen in our interactions with Iran, we are efficient and effective as a nation in a way that we were not previously, whether you're comparing it to Obama, to Clinton, or of course to the part-time zombie that was the Biden administration. We are in a better position in the world is more stable, and America has a greater future today than what we had previously, even if not everyone agrees with the way in which Trump said what he had to say to get the deal done.
I totally disagree with you.
I'm not surprised. That's okay. And that's okay.
Okay, I totally disagree with you.
That's fine.
Because it's more than that. You made a very complicated thing and you made it sound simplistic, and that's not the case at all. And I think if we were to really look at where we are and where this country is right now, and if you speak to the average Joe and you look at the numbers, we are not better off today. Now, I will also say I am not a fan of our former president, so, that's not where I'm saying either. But we are definitely, if we take a look, inflation is still where inflation is. Manufacturing jobs have gone down. They've not gone up, okay? And we are spending so much time playing with who said what and how things are being done that real problems aren't really being dealt with.
Okay, to very quickly address that, if I may. First of all, in terms of employment, we know that there were 1.5 million jobs that were not reported by the Biden administration as being unemployed. So that has a factor. We have shrunk the size of the government. So that's part of the unemployment as well. We are seeing a turnaround. That's what the purpose of tariffs are, is to create new businesses in the United States to make us less dependent on foreign countries and the whims of those foreign countries. That is a 5 to 10 year process. And yeah, we're in the first year of it, so I'm not surprised that it's a little bit off. Again, and if you're talking about whether or not presidential approval is up or down, very simply, if you look at the aggregate of all the polling, Donald Trump right now is at a higher level than he was as the 45th president. He is higher than 2/3 of the term that Joe Biden was during his term. He is comparable to other presidents. So yes, if you're looking at just the Democratic numbers, yes, he's down. He was always going to be, because they've spent a decade saying orange man bad. But if you're looking at the rest of the nation, his numbers are pretty much consistent or better than what we have seen for Trump and for other presidents as well. But that's not quite the topic we're talking about today.
Correct.
So
I'm going to pull this away from the cold. I don't know about that, Dan. I'm going to pull it away
I want
from the
30
cold.
seconds. I want my 30 seconds.
I'm on
Okay,
ya.
my
I'm on
30
ya.
seconds. Okay.
And go.
Manufacturing jobs are down. There's no hook or book about that. We're down 74,000 jobs this year. Okay. We're playing statistical games. Okay. Who has what ratings and who's that? You can show me 6 things that show me he's up. I can show you 6 things that show me he's down. The fact is, we're never going to agree. We're playing statistics. Yeah, it is. It's all statistics.
But can we agree about, gentlemen, can we agree about U.S. national security, sir? And can we agree that the threats, forget this land of wonderful Greenland, let's look at it worldwide. We know what Russia has done in Ukraine. We know that China is aggressive with Taiwan. We understand that China is aggressive in the China Sea. Can't we predict and rest assured that they're going to pose threat after threat to our way of life? And our way of life, sir, is a democratic, capitalistic society that affords humanity the greatest freedoms in history, as we know.
I say this.
Yes, sir.
I'm a vet.
Thank you for your service.
Okay? All right? I am a vet. Okay? I lost my eye defending this country. Okay? So I don't know if anybody else is at the table, whether or not they served or not.
No.
When you serve, okay?
Yes, sir.
And you come home, it takes a whole lot more than want to go back out. Okay? It's a different thing. Okay?
that's a frame of reference.
No.
You're speaking
I've
to
led.
one moment, sir. I am a Marine. My father was a
Okay.
Marine in Vietnam. I have many, many friends in every one of the services and many family members.
I lost the eye in
know-
Lebanon, so don't.
And
okay.
I'm not questioning
Lebanon?
your service, sir. I'm not questioning your injuries. But I am saying that there are many individuals in the military who have a different opinion than what you're stating right
So
now.
Let's
You
have
can't
Dan
speak for
finish the
everyone.
thought, and then we got to move on to the next foreign policy.
Yes.
Quagmire, if you wish.
Okay. Well, I will say what we have to figure out in this country is, are we taking an isolated view? Or which means, are we coming back from the world stage? Okay? Or are we not? And the truth of the matter is, right now, we have a government that sort of is trying to play both ends of both of that. On one hand, we're trying to become American first, and and I understand it, and I basically would agree with a lot of it. But on the other hand, we're also trying to control what everybody else is doing. So you really can't do that. Either we're going to be internationalists or we're going to be isolationists. Can't do both.
And there you have it, gentlemen. We're going to jump back across the Atlantic to Venezuela. Oil. And oil seems to be a lot of what the talk was about Venezuela. Okay, so let's look at the clip on Maduro and Venezuela, and then we'll get right into it, gentlemen.
Por mí, aquí lo esperan Miraflores, no se tarde en llegar, cobarde.
And now, if you don't know, now you know.
Welcome back. Venezuela, a country next to my country, Guyana. I was born in Guyana. But we're talking spies, we're talking drones, we're talking blowtorches, we're talking the most sophisticated military trained personnel under the United States. And we're there. We moved in on January 4th in the middle of the night, out to capture an indicted drug trafficker, a dictator, and a threat to American security, national security, and a threat to the Venezuelan people, frankly. 8 million people migrated from that country. 8 million people are leaving because it's peaches and cream in their country, isn't it? They have gone into next door to my country, well, the country I was born in, America is my country, and have looked elsewhere. They've crossed borders and crossed Central America up to the Mexican border in order to enter this country, a lot of them illegally. We know that. But why are they leaving their wonderful country under their wonderful, wonderful leader, Maduro? So let's talk about it, gentlemen. What happens now? We've removed that regime. They gave us some pushback, and now I hear that they're willing to negotiate. The opposition leaders, etc., are willing to negotiate. But how are we going to leave this country? And history speaks to us, right, Mr. Stern? Jimmy, are we leaving it in unrest? Are we going to have chaos like in Libya? What's going on there? What do you predict for Venezuela? What are we seeing there?
You know what? I am not really sure what the future's going to bring. I'm not sure. I know there's oil there. I understand. I believe there's some other minerals there. And I really don't have much of an opinion of what they do, you know.
Are we going to go down the line, Mr. Stern? We have about a couple minutes on this topic.
I think the question is, do we end up with another puppet government that just destroys the people that are living there? Do we end up with another South Vietnam? You know, it's not an easy question to ask. Do I believe in free and open elections? Definitely. It'd be wonderful if we could do it. I think the real question is that we have to ask is, why did we actually do it? Okay, and where do we go from here? And the question comes down to, what was the influences of China that was going on in the country at the time? Mm-hmm. And did we actually stop those influences at this point? And I think it's a little early to answer that question. I think the immediate would say yes, but the truth is there is such unrest and everything that's going on there, we don't know what's going to happen a year, 2 years down the line.
All right, Mike, your thoughts on Venezuela?
Well, once again, respectfully, Dan, I completely disagree because it is clear and it is very detailed. First of all, we know that bringing in socialism into Venezuela destroyed their economy, destroyed their people. That's why they escaped. 8 million of them became refugees around the world because they were persecuted because socialism doesn't work, and it never has. And that's why China was in there, to help increase the amount of socialism, dictatorship, as they would like to see around the world. And it helped them because they want the oil. Let's be honest. But now that that influence is out along with Maduro, because he foolishly, as you saw in the video, folks, he said, come get me. We did. Well, he can't complain about what happened there. Now, we have seen that Machado, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, and 8 million Venezuelans around the world are cheering and thankful and praising President Trump and the United States for giving them their nation back. We're also adding a benefit in there. We're giving them back the economy that allowed them to lead South America and most of the world in their economy, their oil industry. We have our industries going back in that were previously nationalized under socialism. They're going back to private businesses to go back and build up the infrastructure that the Venezuelans need to have their food, to have their energy. Now, your question is, but what about the government? Let's answer that real easily. We are working with their government to get, one, free elections into the nation, but more importantly, to also help guide away from the socialism that has been ingrained and indoctrinated and forced upon the people. And in that process, we will not have a puppet government because it isn't about America taking over. It is about the people being able to speak up, people like the Nobel winner Maria Machado, to speak up and to actually guide the path forward. And we even see the socialists, now that the dictator is gone, have said they know their time is up and they are happy to work with the United States to make a better, brighter future for Venezuela.
And I'm going to pull it with this, and I'm going to say to make a transition back to democracy and for becoming a political and economic leader in the region and becoming a powerful ally of the United States of America. Would you agree that that would be the result of this transition?
I think that's the most obvious answer that we're going to see, and that is what we are seeing being set up. We build the infrastructure that allows the people to have freedom, to have a voice and a direction in their future, which then transfers into their politics. And I think that is the recipe for a far better. I know the naysayers say, oh my God, but there were mistakes made in the past. We've learned from them. Oh my God, but that could be colonizing. That's just fear-mongering and a way to say Orange Man bad. Everything that America is doing that they don't like is bad. And what, you want to see the dictators back in charge? I don't think so.
Speaking of dictators and Orange Man is bad and protesters, let's just jump just for a minute or two into Iran, because we had such a beautiful discussion on Greenland. Iran, chaos, protesters, killing protesters, civil liberties, political freedoms, a theocracy from 1979. Where are we going? We didn't stop it. We didn't remove the regime. What happened to us, Jimmy?
I remember that very well. The hostage Iran, way back in
79?
79.
yeah.
Wow, I wish we had more time. I would surmise and summarize all of this by saying that the current president is here in service to United States national interest, and people need to understand that the larger picture is about U.S. interests and U.S. freedom. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy Livieri. Thank you for coming up in here.
Thank you guys for watching.
And thank you, Dan Stern, for being here and putting the heat on us. Thank you very much. Welcome back anytime. And as usual and always, Mr. Mike Vasquez, thank you for bringing more than the heat and the fire. I appreciate all of you on this very, very important topic of the day, U.S. international relations and U.S. foreign policy, U.S. national interests. Thank you very much for joining Radically Conservative. Hope to see everyone once again.
No soundbites allowed is the name of his game. With a coffee in one hand and his puppy on his lap, cigarettes curling, smoking his political trap. Michael Vass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry. He's the world's watchdog, calling out the bluff. Right-wing swagger, but his heart's pretty tough. Republican dragon with his truthful slight fights the battles unseen in the shadows of the night. From policy to passion, he breaks it all down, giving a voice to the voiceless, wearing his crown. Caffeine-fueled mornings, the smoke curls dance, Puffy at his feet, giving life one more chance. Through algorithms and bias, he cuts straight and clear. Michael's roar echoes in the hemisphere. Michael Vass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry. He's the world's watchdog, calling out the bluff. Right-wing swagger, but his heart's pretty tough. No soundbites allowed is his ultimate creed. A dragon's perspective where facts are the seed. Standing tall on his battlefield of thoughts, guarding the truth that others forgot. Michael Vass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry.